trouble is not my fault. All this I also lose my friends, I lost my baby that is smoking crack. Only today want to change. He wanted it, so the cougar will try more like to feel. I'd kill the real, take your life in a second. The devil drinks coffee in my kitchen, I mentioned it in every song. I just wanted to go away. You decide to stay in the well. I want to be forgiven, I don't like this kid for money. Sorry I was scared, you're not the way it feels. Like to sleep waiting for someone to come in and kill you. The final thing is that now I'm not afraid of anything. Go they gonna kill anyone that feels so powerful. They trip out you every your skin up, everything is confusing. You will be good, but you will be more. You will be good, but you will be more. You will be good, but you will be more. Alone every day, it is a praise of pleasure.
Good morning and welcome to Dynasty 365, where the film will set you free. Today we're going to go through at least one game, probably just one game, that wasn't broadcast very wide nationally, the Colts versus the Falcons. I'm sure a lot of people own players on those teams based on the pre-NFL season expectations until Andrew Luck got injured. And I haven't had an opportunity to see Paris Campbell yet or Calvin Ridley, a second-year receiver this season yet. So I figured this would be a good game to do next. Some random thoughts I've had after watching the film yesterday. When I look at Houston's upcoming schedule, I'm actually torn as to whether you should try to trot out Fells or Akins. I mean, it's a timeshare tight end committee with two players that aren't that good at playing tight end, so it's difficult. But the next 5 games are against teams with pretty average to subpar safeties. I think they have Carolina, which the Texans should lose to, even with Kyle Allen. That's just my prediction. But then their next 4 games, each team has either a recently injured safety. I think they play the Falcons, the Colts, the Chiefs, and I forget. But after looking at their schedule, I was like, you know what? Like, Akins or Fells, I mean, I guess Fells in PPR, Akins in Standard if you have absolutely no one else. But I'm not going to feel good about either of them or starting either of them. And by the time they're done with that good stretch of bad safeties or subpar safeties, that's when one or both of Jordan Thomas and Kahale are coming back. But anyways, let's get on to the film. Atlanta Falcons versus at the Indianapolis Colts. Whoever 78 O-lineman on the Colts is completely misdiagnosed the most dangerous man. This is one of my pet peeves with O-linemen and blockers in general, is they get so focused on what the play call tells them which player to block, instead of having the instincts to say, hey, this guy completely untouched and unblocked, maybe I should just go hit him. Max still got 8 yards, but it would have been probably a 15-yard gain if that guy just would have done a little bit of pulling his head out of his ass. And I apologize for the noise this podcast, but I'm trying to get a bunch of laundry done before work tomorrow. And I've got limited time, so deal with it. I love Marlon Mack. I do think he is maybe one of the most underrated backs in the NFL when you factor in his athleticism, ability, his lack of pass catching, and how good he is as an interior runner. But on their 2nd and 2 play, their second play from scrimmage, he missed an absolutely gaping backside hole that I still kind of can't believe he didn't see. Maybe it's early game jitters. I'm not sure. But he had a huge cutback lane pretty early in the play, and he should have seen that. Also, NFL just updated their app today on the PS4. So we'll see if it stops freezing and stuttering at the single most important parts of the play. But it's good to see. I mean, clearly NFL headquarters listens to this podcast for all of their Game Pass feedback advice, which is understandable, but I'm just glad I don't have to suffer through the app closing 5 fucking times again. Mac with a good hands catch after Brissett shows some good pocket mobility to get him the ball on the left side flat. Doesn't really do much after the catch, but he's so fast that he magically gets a couple yards. Next play, he makes about 3 guys miss with his great jump cutting ability and far above average athleticism. I wouldn't say it's elite, but Mac has some rare athletic qualities. Nice catch by Campbell right off the bat. Showing a little bit of wasted movement after the catch. He just needs to trust his speed and explosiveness and pick that angle and take off. Mac just missed another wide open cutback lane. I wouldn't say wide open. It was a difficult read, but he should have taken it backside. I think he's trying to trust his O-line, but right now he's doing it a little too much. Maybe it's, again, early in the game jitters. And I do love Marlon Mack. I own him in most of my leagues because I got him when he was cheap. But my number one trait is vision, and him not getting these 2 early cutback lanes, that leaves about 15-20 yards on the field with his speed. I would just like to see him hit those. I feel like he did last year, so it's not concerning, but just slightly. If he sees those cutback lanes, he's got a one-on-one with an Atlanta secondary player, and I like those odds. I know Vinatieri's old, but he looks 65 years old. His field goal banged in off the crossbar, and it was knuckleballing to the left the whole time. Colts need to be finding a replacement kicker as soon as possible. And, I mean, you can't really drop a starting kicker, but if you own Vinatieri, you need to be looking for others. I'm pretty sure last week he sucked really bad, so you probably already are, but that was an ugly-ass kick. I have been testing out being able to rewind with this new app update, and it is much improved. It has not stuttered at all. It has not completely dropped out and canceled out of the application. Sometimes there are plays in football where nothing happens. I think hopefully you instinctually understand this. Everyone's stuffed at the line. Half the guys fucked up on both teams, and it's kind of a shitty play. Then there are other plays that are the real determining factors of whether or not this receiver is good, or this corner is good enough to stop Mike Evans, or this quarterback can actually read cover 3. And so, it's early, but I'm very happy with the timing of the NFL updating their app on PS4, because I was about to get pissed if they didn't fix that shit. Great read by Devontae Freeman up the middle yesterday when I was talking about how Carlos Hyde can't seem to find the hole right in front of his face and he still hesitates. Devontae Freeman doesn't have that problem. Oh, this hole's open, upfield. That's a good read by Devontae Freeman. Good push by the O-line. I did kind of like Ito Smith when he was coming out. He looked a little small, but he's so indecisive in the NFL and just kind of has a lack of suddenness that I would much rather have Brian Hill just based on what I saw in the preseason. I know people are trying to decide between Ito Smith, Quadri Allison, and Brian Hill, and I believe Brian Hill was a game day inactive. But what blows my mind about Dynasty and fantasy players is they think whether you're on the active roster or not is the end-all be-all, when history has proven that normally it's just a strategic move by the coaches. They need certain players with certain skill sets that play special teams or can't play special teams, and they have to balance an entire roster with only 53 people. If Freeman goes down, my bet for the most productive back is Brian Hill. It's not a guarantee with Freeman going down. Every year is a new year. Just look at how powerful and explosive Dalvin Cook looks this year compared to last year. I know he's always been explosive, but he looks bigger and tougher. Just kind of a look thing. But Ito Smith does not look like he's going to be able to handle a workload. Quadri Allison, I've barely seen, but what I saw in college and when I've seen the pros, he seems like a big, fat, slow Carlos Hyde type guy. So for any type of PPR relevant format, Give me some sleeper shares of Brian Hill. Good read and balance on the inside zone by Marlon Mack. I'd like to see him be a little more decisive, but he's making guys miss. He's spinning through contact and showing good balance. So he's got a different type of contact balance than someone like, say, Chris Carson. I'd almost compare them to be almost the exact same skill level. They're just completely different styles of players. Chris Carson hits people in the face and bounces off them. Marlon Mack tries to avoid contact at pretty much all costs and still maintain his contact balance, and both are effective. They're just so different stylistically that I think that's why Marlon Mack has been slept on for so long. I think last year's playoffs showed how good he is, and so far I'm not really super impressed with how he's playing this year, but I've also only seen 10 minutes of one quarter in week 3. That was a funny moment. The head ref is sitting there trying to be all like formal and serious because there's 2 penalties on Falcons, pass interference on this one dude, and this ref with no hat, this black ref with no hat, accidentally, he either has his mic on or he's yelling so unnecessarily loud that you can hear him yell 26, 37. That was just funny to me. Like if I was that white ref, I would have started laughing. Nowhere for Mac to go on that. Keanu Neal blitzed and beat Paris Campbell to the block. I rewound it to see if Campbell missed his block, but really it was just a really tough block to make. They called an illegal block in the back on Campbell for that. I mean, maybe, but the dude made the play. Just kind of a little bit of over-officiating to me. Hilton, they've gone to like 5 straight times. I think Mac got one and Campbell got another, but Brissett isn't even looking for anyone outside of T.Y. Hilton. And then big old Jack Doyle gets one very next play. They're going real short, nothing risky. It's a smart game plan with a backup quarterback. Spread the field, let him make an easy short completion. You're up by 3. I like the offensive philosophy. Next play, what do you know? Really short hitch route to Ebron. Clearly trying to make short, easy completions, and it's working. Ebron, he's just such a bipolar player. If I was his coach, I'd tell him to get the fuck down after he catches the ball, but he's trying to be a fucking man and be tough and power through multiple hits, and that's going to end up leading to him fumbling. Great play design by faking the halfback short flare / screen in the right flat, and then having Zach Pascal leak out upfield to secondary players bit on the pump fake to the running back, leaving him completely uncovered. That had nothing to do with Zach Pascal, outside of maybe being a good actor at blocking, but that was all play design. The first Pascal touchdown. But I do like whoever the offensive coordinator is for the Colts. I'm a fan of what he's done so far in this game. Alright, Pascal didn't even fake blocking. That was just a great play design. They had a seam up the 5 yards in between the hash and the numbers to keep the safety in the middle. They ran that little pump fake with the halfback flare to the right side. Swing route, some will know. And the safety, not responsible, just bit for no reason. Ricardo Allen. So that's a sign for... Now that I know already prematurely that Keanu Neal is gone for the season with an Achilles, that Ricardo Allen can be exploited, and so you can play tight ends, running backs with more confidence against the Falcons in case you had some trepidation. Devontae Freeman is actually looking pretty good. Following his blocks, getting chunk plays. Austin Hooper is the quintessential catch it and fall down type of NFL player, but he does catch it. Matt Ryan with a really bad read and decision to try to throw it to Austin Hooper's backup on a seam route over the middle. Easily picked off. Just a horrible decision and throw. You know what I just realized is really sad, and it's a fact. But Jack Doyle is more athletic coming off of a hip surgery, I believe, than Austin Hooper is after being fully healthy his entire career. Another short hitch to Paris Campbell. The reports that Paris Campbell is unstoppable is a little overblown. He does have worse stop-start ability than Mecole Hardman. One of the reasons I like Mecole Hardman just a tiny bit more, especially now that Andrew Luck isn't playing anymore. But I was hoping to see him make a move or make a juke, and he really just kind of caught the ball and let the guy tackle him. Jordan Wilkins is so bad. I know he's supposed to, or apparently he had a big run later in this game, but he fucking sucks. Anyone who fell for that hype train, if you're listening to this podcast, you need to listen to me, because you don't know what the fuck you're looking at when it comes to running backs. Jordan Wilkins sucks. He's always sucked. He was okay in college, but he was never a serious threat to Mac. He isn't now. I don't even know why the Colts have him in the game. Now they hand off to Wilkins again, and he's now moved the offense -3 yards on 2 carries. And then, as if to prove my point, in multiple ways, they throw a tiny little 2-yard halfback angle route to Nyheim Hines on 3rd and 12. And he makes a couple dudes miss with lateral agility that Wilkins doesn't have, and shows at least a willingness to try to win the game and fall forward and get extra yards. I still think he's short of the first down, and I'm kind of concerned that we didn't see Mac for 3 or 4 plays, but I don't know why Jordan Wilkins is out there. Nyheim Hines can do everything he can do, except much better. But it's showing that the Colts really don't trust Jacoby Brissett, even when they're up by 10. And now Nyheim Hines shows why he was never a real threat to take over for Marlon Mack, as soon as they ask him to run up the middle, he gets terrified, ducks his head, doesn't even try to look for a hole, ran straight in the middle of his blocker when he could have gone right or left on accident and gotten a good play. But instead he runs right into the back of his O-lineman and just kind of gets half a yard. But I'm kind of concerned. I don't know where Marlon Mack is. Tiny little wide receiver tunnel screen, which means the wide receiver kind of breaks in straight towards the line of scrimmage before catching the ball. To T.Y. Hilton, again showing that they don't want Brissett throwing the ball farther than 5 yards downfield. Jack Doyle is out there on 3rd and 3 instead of Ebron, probably because he has way better hands. If I was in any sort of PPR, tight end premium, and was wanting to decide between the Colts tight ends, I'm taking Jack Doyle every time. He looks healthy. His movement skills don't look like he's as limited by his hip surgery. And the Colts don't want Brissett throwing more than 3 yards down the line of scrimmage. So Doyle is the dude I'd be targeting. I say that almost in jest. No one wants pass-catching options from Jacoby Brissett. But in PPR, a catch is a catch. On cue, Jack Doyle with a catch at about 7 yards and falls forward for 4 more. Marlon Mack showing either great or lucky patience. Stopped in the backfield waiting for a hole to develop, but one does. He finds a little crease up inside and gets about 11. When he decides he wants to power, Marlon Mack does have power. I know in a lot of tackles it looks like he's spinning around, but I honestly think he's trying to avoid an injury and get extra yards when he does that. But he is a good inside runner. He was very underrated as an inside runner coming out of college because he liked to bounce on outside, but that's because he was the only good athlete on the University of South Florida football team at the time. Another 2-yard slant to T.Y. Hilton. I'm actually kind of surprised the coaches even let Brissett throw right here. It sounds like I'm dogging on Brissett, but I'm not. The coaches are. They will not let him throw farther than 7 yards down the field when the team is ahead. Play action rollout near the goal line to the right. Brissett looked at Doyle immediately. But this is a good thing about Brissett is that he knows when he can't make a play and he'll throw it away. And then they called holding, 1st and goal, Colts. Even though the result isn't here for Marlon Mack, trying to follow his blockers into the end zone from the 1-yard line, I actually do prefer him trying to trust his O-line over making him play himself. That is a far cry from what he did in college, and it shows that he is trying to grow as a player. I mean, clearly the results from his rookie year till now show that as well. And it's smart, as he knows he's not going to be able to beat a defense on his own. But I do kind of wish he would have just cut it up and tried to make one guy miss in the hole. But this is one of those areas where, even though the result was worse because he trusted his O-line, I like seeing that he trusts his O-line. And it's smart of him to trust his O-line because he's got an O-line. Brissett should have tucked that in and ran it on 3rd and goal. You're not going to pinpoint pass something when there's 4 guys on the right side of the field within a 10-yard radius of each other. Tuck it upfield, get the touchdown. That's getting a little too cute. Ryan with a great read and Sanu with a great route on a 10-yard in route from the slot right behind the linebacker. Sanu's not going to get nothing after the catch, but he is going to get open until his athleticism fails him. Right back to Sanu on a uncovered 7-yard out route on the left side. Great read on the inside power by Freeman. Great juke to make 29. I think Malik Hooker completely whiffed and then powered through another tackle. Man, I wish I knew the stats of this game. I'm kind of glad I don't, but I thought he only had 24 yards or something. Maybe that's last week. But he is looking pretty good. Like, he's not looking old or hurt or nothing. He is playing well with great vision, great power, great burst. Freeman. Well, seeing as the announcer said that was a 24-yard pickup, I must be thinking of the week before. But Freeman is playing well. I haven't really been able to tell the O-line yet, but Freeman is playing well. In IDP leagues, Anthony Walker, number 50, linebacker for the Colts, is looking quite good. He just popped, I believe, Freeman in the backfield hard and immediately ragdolled him. But the Colts are really starting to play well against the run on these last couple of plays. Ryan overthrows Hooper by about 20 yards. Matt Ryan is like the Kirk Cousins or Case Keenum of like the pretty good quarterbacks, not corner. He just like gets too nervous or something or uncomfortable and he starts doing crazy shit. Like, as soon as things start going a little south, he's throwing up weird passes to people that aren't open. He's not seeing the field, where the other times he's reading the defense perfectly. I don't get it, but Matt Ryan has always been an avoid for me because you have no clue what's going to happen from game to game with him. Campbell really showing his good change of direction and elusiveness when he's up to speed on that kickoff return. But he's got near elite speed, but he really doesn't. He's no Mecole Hardman. He's no Marquise Brown. It's adequate for sure. It's very good. But he really needs to get up to speed before he's able to actually efficiently change direction. Nyheim Hines with a horrible run up the middle. Why are you running Nyheim Hines up the middle with 2 minutes left? It wasn't even a draw play. It was like a straight zone/power up the middle. Put Marlon Mack in or throw the ball to him. That was just a stupid call and decision, personnel-wise. I really don't think Brissett has completed one pass that's gone more than 7 yards, air yards, which means distance from the line of scrimmage to where the receiver catches the ball. He missed Deion Kane on the back shoulder, missed Eric Ebron on a seam route, but Ebron was interfered with, but he still would have missed him. And then he put the ball pretty much on target to T.Y. Hilton, and I believe it was a no call, but the Colts O-coordinators clearly understand the limitations of Brissett. It's getting kind of ridiculous that they're not letting Brissett throw farther than 7 yards. Like, every single pass is under 7 yards. Then Brissett messes up the play and just does a pirouette in the backfield on 3rd and 1. Like, Jesus fucking Christ. How are the Colts up 13-3? I feel like the NFL doesn't make any sense. I mean, I know the Falcons have no pass rush. The Colts have a lot of good weapons, but Brissett has done nothing that a high school quarterback can do. Great hesitation, juke by Nyheim Hines on Deion Jones on, you guessed it, a 5-yard pass. But it really was a good setup on a linebacker that, at least before his ACL, was really good. I haven't seen Deion Jones make too many plays today. That was a very good play by Nyheim Hines. Brissett finally attempts a pass that's over 7 air yards, and it's easily knocked away. Then the refs call some sort of taunting penalty on the Falcons, giving the Colts a first down with 16 seconds left. I just don't get it. I don't get why these refs want to legislate things with 16 seconds left in a game or a half. Wow. They flagged Keanu Neal for tearing an Achilles and throwing his helmet in frustration for having another season-ending injury in week 3 in 2 consecutive years. Fuck the refs. Jesus fucking Christ. Like, a great defensive play was completely nullified because a former All-Pro safety tore his Achilles and threw his helmet out of frustration that had no effect on the play. I don't get how these refs can't just not fuck up the game. Deion Jones gets his revenge with a great cover of Nyheim Hines, where, you guessed it, within 1 yard of the line of scrimmage on a short left flat route. Great defensive play by Deion Jones. T.Y. Hilton scores with 9 seconds left because the Colts had an extra play on a little rollout right, 2-receiver route, short out route. The dude just couldn't hang with T.Y. Hilton's speed and change of direction, which not many can. Really nothing special on that play outside of T.Y. Hilton being really good. Anthony Walker with another really nice play on Devontae Freeman in the backfield. Doesn't look like Freeman's getting much help in run blocking at this point. But regardless, Anthony Walker is looking really good for IDP purposes, as long as Darius Leonard is out and maybe even after. Like, he's looked very impressive. Matt Ryan just underthrew Julio Jones by about 10 to 15 yards. He had about 4 steps on the DB corner, 35, and had to come back. Malik Hooker's grabbing his knee. I believe he tore his meniscus in this game and then came back to play. Hooker's just been injury-riddled his career. And another one, I'm looking to trade away Malik Hooker if he's owned at all in your IDP league. I'm done with him. A free safety for the Colts when Darius Leonard comes back, who's dealing with all these injuries, pretty much unrosterable. Get whatever you can. Hooper is a smart player, and he can catch. He just scored a touchdown, catching it about 7 yards from the end zone, running straight upfield, really without much resistance. He's just a PPR tight end special. Like, if you're not in PPR, long-term, Austin Hooper is going to decline from injuries, and he's going to become even slower and athletic than he currently is. They're not always going to have Julio Jones, Calvin Ridley, and Mohamed Sanu, and a couple more competent receivers behind him to take off the pressure and leave him wide open, easy matchups. If you have any sort of tight end depth, sell Austin Hooper after the biggest game he has for as much as he can. Unfortunately, most people know who he is by now, so you might have missed the boat to sell high. So he's a hard one. I feel like he's pretty appropriately valued. Most people know who he is. But if you can get a really good deal for him and you have the tight end depth, at some point the wheels are going to fall off Austin Hooper, and it's not really going to be pretty, especially if you're not in a PPR league. The worst starting defensive end in the NFL, by far, Vic Beasley. Just got the easiest sack ever pushed right into his lap. The only good thing about Jacoby Brissett is he really doesn't turn the ball over. He's the definition of a game manager, and he's strong. I am surprised he didn't fumble, but Vic Beasley was just so surprised to be near quarterback that he couldn't believe it. Paris Campbell with a nice little slip tackle on, you guessed it, a 1-yard pass. Tack McKinley just went down with a knee injury. This Falcons D-line is in trouble trying to get after the passer for the rest of the year. Great read by Devontae Freeman to immediately break it backside. He definitely has lost a little bit of the explosiveness. I'm surprised he didn't try to bounce it all the way outside. Instead, he went up trying to split 23 and number 50, Anthony Walker, and didn't get anywhere. Anthony Walker has kind of physically dominated Freeman in this game. Falcons O-line is looking kind of like dog shit after a pretty good first quarter. This is one thing that all NFL defensive coordinators need to learn. What does Bill Belichick do the greatest coach in the NFL ever, not debatable. He takes away your best player, not just on the key downs, but for the entire game. And it works more often than not, even with bad defenses. It's called a strategy. 2 third and longs in a row, and the Colts are running a zone without keying on Julio Jones. Guess who gets the first down both times? You have to key on their best offensive weapon on 3rd and 4th down. It's not that hard, but I see it happen so often in the NFL, it blows my mind. Wide receiver Justin Hardy, number 14, with horrible fucking effort and a horrible block on 23 for the Colts. I would pick up 23 in IDP safety leagues if Malik Hooker is out. I'm not sure who 23 for the Colts is. Maybe he's already owned. Shows you how little film I've been paying attention to. That's why I'm trying to start with these teams that I really haven't watched yet. But that was a piss poor block, piss poor effort. Devontae Freeman either doesn't have the outside gear anymore, or he doesn't trust it because he's running back into contact when it appears like he could get the edge fairly easily. That was Kenny Moore for the Colts. Pick him up in IDP if he's available and you need a safety. This Colts D-line, even I believe they're down 2 starters, is still demolishing the running game for Atlanta. 3rd and 12, and at least the Colts learned a little bit. They covered Julio Jones, but they're still in his zone and still not bringing pressure and allowing Mohamed Sanu to get a first down in between the 2 zones, right at the sticks. The issue I really don't think is with Freeman. It's with the O-line. They look completely overwhelmed, and it's not even the start of the 4th quarter yet. The Colts just refuse to play man on 3rd down, and Matt Ryan is picking apart their zones as any experienced quarterback is probably going to do. Freeman finally gets decent blocking and has a nice run. I heard all these blurbs about the Falcons O-line looking much better, and I haven't been following them. I don't know if they've had injuries, but they do not look a lot better. They actually look worse than last year. Good call by the refs to not let Frank Reich challenge that Freeman had given himself up. He had. Freeman clearly thought he was down. Actually, a good call by the refs. But it's just frustrating if I owned Freeman, which I don't. But to see how it's pretty much Devontae Freeman trying to do the entire ground game himself with very little help from his O-line against an injury-depleted Colts D-line. But they still do have 2 good D tackles, and Banogu, the rookie D-end, has looked good, and so has Al-Qadim Muhammad. They've done a good job of roster construction on the D-line there to be able to absorb those injuries. But from what I was hearing in the offseason, I'm surprised at how bad that Falcons O-line looks in the run game. Hooper catches a little 1-yard pass, uncovered, falls down immediately. I might rename that the Austin Hooper special. Tight ends who just don't move but aren't going to drop a pass and can find a soft spot in the zone. Really smart play by left guard Quentin Nelson to take advantage of Grady Jarrett jumping off sides. I'm actually shocked at how quickly Nelson reacted. Makes me think it was a head coaching ploy by the speed at which he reacted. Brissett still hasn't thrown a pass farther than 5 yards downfield. They're running weird plays with Marlon Mack. I mean, you're up in the 4th quarter, run the ball. They're not even trying to. It's kind of odd play calling. I wonder if Mack is a little banged up. He came into the game questionable, didn't he? He did. So that kind of explains why we haven't seen much Mack and much of him trying to grind it out. But, I mean, to win the game, you got to use your players. You're not going to win a game with Brissett throwing 97 3-yard passes. And then Brissett throws a 3-yard pass to Marlon Mack. I will give Brissett credit. He is smart. He really does know his limitations. He knows what he has to do to help the team win. Just tucked it on 3rd and 5 and got the first. He's like the opposite of Jameis Winston. Not a lot of talent, but super smart and aware of wanting to win the game. Winston is polar opposite. If you can't tell, I hate Jameis Winston. all the talent in the world, but he's a moron who's way too aggressive and puts his team in losing situations. Whatever you think about Brissett, I don't think he's very skilled, but at least he's not losing his team the game. The first actual pass farther than 7 yards downfield in the air by Brissett to Ebron, who's covered by a backup and can't make the contested catch. He's begging for a flag, as Eric Ebron is going to do. They now try to let Brissett start airing it out. He threw by airing it out, I mean he threw it 14 yards in the air, and it was well short. I would like to see a little more results from all the hype I've heard from Deion Kane over the last 2 years. But Brissett again, there he's airing it out. He threw it 10 yards on 3rd and 10. Threw it real low. It was a nice catch and adjustment by Zach Pascal to snag it off the turf and get the first. They said it was incomplete. I'd have to check, but it looks like he caught it. Regardless, they called holding on the defensive secondary. 1st and 10 Indy. Chester Rogers, wide open on a bootleg, about 10 yards downfield. And Brissett sees him, but chooses to throw to Mo Alley-Cox because he's 3 yards away. Nice little play, and Brissett's first completed pass of over 10 yards in the air on a bootleg to Zach Pascal. Pascal didn't really do anything again. He was just open, and he didn't drop the ball. But he was open due to a coverage error, not him being good. And I really don't like the running plays that the Colts are calling. Get downfield, put a hat on a hat, go down, and let Marlon Mack find a hole inside. Instead, they're trying to stretch everything left and right when they're up by 3 on a 3rd and 1. Good play call on 3rd and 1 to get the first. Pascal got as much yardage as possible, but he's really a non-factor unless T.Y. Hilton is out next week. I guess you can trot out Pascal because he's not going to drop it. The blocking for the Colts really isn't as good as I would expect it to be. 1st and goal, Marlon Mack stiff arms like 3 people and uses his rare burst to get to the edge and score the touchdown, pretty much saving his fantasy day. Vinatieri looks so shaky. Falcons O-line sucks. I don't know if I've seen that in a while. I guess they do have Sanu play Wildcat quarterback, but on 3rd and 1 they had him run a read option and keep it. He got the first, but I was not expecting that. Little quick out to Sanu, out of bounds. 6:48 left in the 4th, down by 10. And right on cue, the O-line is holding or blocking in the back for the 2nd time in 4 plays. They go right back to Sanu. For this supposed Calvin Ridley breakout this year, he has been fucking non-existent. Right when I'm contemplating taking back everything I said about the NFL app not freezing or stuttering or crashing this game, guess what? I rewind 5 seconds and it fucking crashes. For $100, call me crazy, but I want it to work, especially when you automatically bill me every year. I thought I was going to be the biggest proponent of Game Pass, but their app is the worst it's ever been. And honestly, I'm kind of ticked off because it's wasted me time just because they somehow can't figure out how to do the same shit they did the last 3 years without this issue. And it just happened again after I just did it. And now it's happening again after the app just updated. I don't get it. For $100, something should work. Just restarted it, and then it just happened again. I honestly can't believe this. Freeman did just drop a pretty easy catch right there. About 2 yards release out of the backfield. Julio Jones has had the quietest 116-yard night I have ever seen. But that's kind of what Julio Jones does. He just pops up. Another hold by the O-line. Ryan with a horrible back shoulder throw to Julio. They just threw a flag. Whatever that flag is should not exist. There's 4:52 left in the game, and that ball was uncatchable. Don't even have to know what the refs called. And then, of course, the ruling on the field stands on an uncatchable ball when the call was pass interference. That was an uncatchable ball. I hate these fucking new pass interference challenge rules. If you're not going to overturn anything, when that was not PI, he just threw it 10 yards out of bounds, 15 yards in front of where Julio could have possibly ever caught it. And Sanu with a nice catch over the middle. Apparently, second year defensive end Kamoko Toure is not out of the game as I thought he was. I thought he missed this game. But he hit Matt Ryan in the helmet, another 15 yards, in a 10-point game with 4:43 left after already blowing a call the play before. And now a false start on the O-line. This is just becoming mind-numbingly annoying to watch with all these penalties. Good read by Matt Ryan. Poorly placed ball without enough velocity on the corner route for Julio Jones. But what a fucking catch. An unreal fucking catch, to be honest. But it's Julio Jones. The type of run play that the Colts ran with 3:21 left in the fourth on 2nd and 2 with a hard inside guard pull and tight split, pushing upfield, that's the type of runs that they need to do with their O-line. And that's like the first, maybe second type of run they've done that way. And they don't do it until 3:21 left in the fourth. They just need to pretend, based on the next play, they just need to pretend they're trying to run the clock out on every play with their O-line scheme and run blocking calls. I feel like they're trying to do a bunch of weird, tricky shit instead of just going man-on-man like the 49ers, Broncos, go upfield, hat on hat, and move the D-line. It's working in the fourth quarter, which I get. The D-line is going to be tired, but I'd like to see more of that earlier in the game. I don't know if it's because Mac was limited coming into this week, but I just was not a fan of the way the Colts were trying to run the ball this week. Mac finally breaks a big run because they're running the same type of man blocking, one pull type system. Mac sees the cutback, gets down instead of fumbling because he knows the game situation. Great play. Borderline seals the game outside of anything tricky happening. 2:28 in the fourth. Tack McKinley back in the game. That's at least some hope for the Falcons pass rush and D-line. And surprise, surprise, Brissett throws a 3-yard pass. I'm assuming the Colts win this game with 1:49 left and the Falcons having no timeout and being at the 14-yard line. I'm pretty sure they can just kneel it. 40, 40, 40. Yeah. But the Falcons D coordinator, I don't get it. The dude has literally attempted 3 passes, more than 7 yards downfield. It's kind of the perfect time for a play action. I get you're trying to stop the run. You haven't stopped the run all drive, but man, I'd hate to be a Falcons fan. 16 penalties on the Falcons this game. Most of them are probably deserved. But I don't know if I've seen a more conservative game plan actually work against a near top tier quarterback and supposed team in my life. I cannot believe how they did not try to push the ball downfield whatsoever, and the Falcons still couldn't figure it out. They weren't even run blocking well. They weren't even using Marlon Mack. It is a good sign for Mack owners in redraft and dynasty that he was the one grinding the clock out at the end of the game. This was just an absolutely bizarre game. Tons of penalties, bunch of weird calls. Falcons O-line is in trouble. Sell Devontae Freeman if you can. It's not really him. It kind of is him, but that O-line sucks. And I don't know the Falcons' schedule, but I doubt they play any cupcake defenses for a stretch of the season. Feel great about Marlon Mack. I hope the Colts run the type of man-pulling play style run plays that they did at the end of the game, and not the tricky draw zone type bullshit they played before that wasn't working. They need to stop running Naheem Hines up the middle. It's pointless. But overall, I can't believe I just saw Jacoby Brissett win a game while completing one pass that traveled more than 7 yards in the air. Bizarre game. Not much takeaways other than the Colts O-line might be worse than I thought they were going to be. The Falcons O-line is horrid. Sanu is outproducing Ridley. Hooper is just somehow open and catches it and falls down. So for PPR, he's good. If you've got a frustrated owner, I doubt he's frustrated after this game, but maybe in a week or two, you can try getting him in redraft. I still don't want Hooper in Dynasty. He's too up and down and too athletically limited outside of a heavy tight end premium league. Colts are the better team. Brissett has serious limitations. Falcons' line is so bad. I can't believe it. Like, from all the things I heard, all the blurbs, and for them to be this bad, like, I'm going to have to look up later how many injuries they've had, because that was pretty pathetic. Anthony Walker, pickup for the Colts on IDP. Raheem Moore, pickup for the Colts on IDP. Demonte Casey and Ricardo Allen are possible pickups for the Falcons with the news of Keanu Neal. And that's pretty much all I can think about right now. That'll be the only game we review tonight. These tend to take a little bit more time than you think they will, especially when the app crashes 5 times. I had good hopes. It was working for most of the game, and then it just kept crashing out. If you've got a game you'd like to request, send me an email, bubba@dynasty-365.com, or hit me up on Facebook Messenger. Those are probably the 2 easiest ways to get a hold of me. If not, I'm just going to keep rolling with a game that I feel most of the country hasn't watched yet, and with players that I haven't watched yet. I don't like the prospects of either of these teams season long. I guess the Falcons have a slightly better shot. Maybe the Colts D-line is just actually this good, but I tend to believe it's the Falcons O-line being that bad. That's all for today. You've been listening to Dynasty 365, where the film will set you free.
So much trouble, it's not my fault, all this I also lose my friends, I lost my baby that is looking crack, only today want to change. He wanted us on the cougar and try more like to feel. I'd scale the bill, take your life in a second. The devil drinks coffee in my kitchen, I mentioned in every song, I just wanted to go away. You decide to stay in the well. I want to be forgiven, I don't like this kid for money. Sorry, I was scared, you're not the way it feels. Like to sleep waiting for someone to come in and kill you. Can't find nothing is that now, I'm not afraid of anything. Go take on a kill, anyone that feels so powerful. They trip at you, I read your skin up, everything is confusing. You will be good, but you will be more. You will be good, but you will be